Joke Dealer Inc.'s Hot 5 presents Mia Jackson.
A weed brownie. And I was like, decisions. Like, do I say no to drugs or yes to dessert? So obviously I ate the whole thing because you don't turn down free food as people in other countries starving. But I got super paranoid and I was like, oh man, they are starting to make weed legal. What if they start making brownies illegal? I have got to open up a back alley bakery. Like, that's what I'm gonna have to do. But then I started thinking, like, are there other like edibles out there? Like, cause I've never heard anybody go, I like some meth sickles. Like, I don't know if that's like, I don't know. Like some dude is like, I already don't have teeth. They're so easy to eat.
All right, so this is Hank Denson, aka the Joke Dealer, hashtag pay teachers more money. This is a pleasure and a privilege for me to have my technician and my host. Look, it's a privilege for me to have this young lady on. Comedy is what we love to do, and over the years, I watched her do it at the highest of levels through all kinds of genres of comedy. It is a pleasure to watch you work. What you've done over the years has been amazing to me, and it's a pleasure to have you in for the Joke Dealers Inc. Hot 5, my friend Mia Jackson.
Yay. Thank you, Hank. Yay!
So let's get to it. Why comedy? What was your day where you were like, yo, comedy?
What was the day like? Well, you know what? I used to watch Def Jam and I used to watch Comic View all the time. Like, I used to love those shows. And when I was in high school, you know how people would sit around and you would repeat jokes that you saw on something, like, oh, and then so-and-so said this and this person said this. And I just remember me and my friends would sit around on it because I was a band nerd, so I was in marching band. And we would sit around and repeat all the jokes. And I remember one of my friends going, well, how come when I say it, like, they don't laugh, but when you say it, people laugh? And then I was like, because I got better comedic timing than you. And I'm like, what do I even know?
What did you know, right?
What do I know to be telling somebody? Really? I didn't know nothing. And I'm like, I just know how to do it better. And then I just really just loved comedy. I used to watch it before then, like whatever iteration of Comedy Central was out at the time. Like, I would watch, because I remember seeing people like George Wallace and Jeff Foxworthy and Wendy Liebman, and I would just be like, how did these people think of that thing?
Right.
So that's how I became all fascinated with stand-up.
So let me ask you this. When you were watching comedy at a young age, would your parents come in, like you'd be watching it and they would be like, what do you watch? What? And you'd be like, comedy.
I'm trying to think that they never, the only thing they wouldn't let me do, like, I remember they would have parties and they would play Richard Pryor records and they would not let me come downstairs.
Because they were scared there was going to be a lot of cussing.
Right. And they would be like, we down here, the whole house just full of people, but I couldn't participate in that. But like, when it came to me watching stand up, like nobody ever really.
Is it all black people that had basement parties? Like,
that's a cultural. I think that's us, brown liquor and basement parties.
Because you know what it is? We have something in commonality. What happened when I knew I was going to be some kind of performer? My parents used to make me come down and do Michael Jackson. They used to make me come down and do the whole Michael Jackson routines in footed pajamas. And they'd be like, do it, baby. And I'd be crying like, I don't want to do it. Like, we don't give you some meatballs and some deviled eggs, baby. And I'd be like, okay. And they would be standing around smoky people drinking and be like, that boy talented. And I would get my little plate and go back upstairs, and my cousins would all be there because everybody would bring their kids over.
Right.
How you get food? I was like, because I know how to do Michael Jackson. Like, and I'd be like, didn't you hear them all screaming? And they were like, oh, and I would share, but they would be like, go back down and dance again. I was like, I can only go down when they request me.
That is the fact that you was dancing for meatballs.
So that right there for you was just knowing that you had it. like you were like this. So when did it start for you where you were just like, and I shout out to you, Georgia grad.
Yeah, go dogs.
Go
Hey,
dogs. When did it hit for you where you were like, yo, I'm gonna do stand up? Like I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna do this.
You know, like even when I was in school, I can still remember like being in college and then still kind of being on that corporate track where I was like, you know what? You leave, you go get a job in the corporate world, and I gotta
Right.
find a corporate gig. But then, and I think it's just the universe was just like, no, you're not gonna get one of these jobs because I could not get a corporate job to save my life at the time. I
Right.
was just like, don't nobody. I'm like, am I not polished enough? What am I doing wrong? Like all my
Right.
friends, and then I ended up being an administrative assistant at the University of Georgia in the College of Veterinary Medicine, and that's actually what changed everything.
Okay.
So, and I used to tell one of my coworkers, shout out to Emily McCoy, because she's been there since I started. And I would sit there and tell her at work, I'll be like, oh my God, like I love stand-up comedy. And I think I want to be a stand-up. And then she was like, oh, well, you know, they got this paper, you know, like it was basically the Athens version of Creative Loafing. I think it's called
Okay.
Flagpole. And
Yes.
they listed open mics in there.
Really?
And she was like, and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna go. She was like, look, you go. You know, I'll get some of my friends and my husband. And she's like, we'll record it. And I invited a bunch of people, but I had been secretly thinking about it before then. But she was the first person I really like expressed it to, where I was like, I think I want to try stand up. And then that's how I ended up getting on stage.
You know, as long as I've known you, I've never knew your story. Like me and
Mm-hmm.
we've been knowing each other a long time.
Years, a
And I'm
long
like,
time.
I've never knew where you started. I always knew, okay, this is how, and I'm gonna be honest and transparent. When I used to see you, I'd be like, well, Mia's doing it. I think I can do it. That's how you were there was the only reference people I had, because I knew you were a caliber of person that you didn't tolerate bullshit, and you had time. You didn't have time because you had to get to a daytime job.
Mm-hmm.
And you just you had a regalness to you where you were like, I'm not, like, what are we doing? And I remember I see you cross your arms and be like, what are we doing here? And I'd be like, is Mia doing it? They were like, yeah. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And that's kind of where I set my barometer. There's not many people that I did this with, because other comedians, you see them, you be like, man, well, he ain't a reference point for me. But you were a reference point. I'd be like, if Mia said she was going to do it, oh, okay. And I was like even shows here in Atlanta, like I would see you do them. I was like, when I got back into comedy, I was like, okay. I'm like, and I would ask, I was like, so did Mia do your show? They'd be like, yeah, Mia did it. I'd be like, okay. Because, you know what I mean? Because our other reference point would be Drew, and we'd be like, well, you know, Drew may have any amount of reasons why he ain't coming to the show.
Drew be so matter of fact about whether or not he gonna do something.
Drew be like, yo, there's no deposit? Okay,
right.
I ain't doing it. All right.
Listen,
so when
there's a
lot of great moments that I witnessed you doing comedy. And like over the years, I've seen you open, and like Dave Chappelle's show at Tabernacle was one. I was like blown away. But my crazy moment was the Amy Schumer, and it was like, for you, okay, so I want to make this into a question, but I was in the audience. It was me and Rodney Perry, and we were in the audience when she came out and she was like, yeah, give a shout out to Mia Jackson. She's one of the funniest. And I was looking around like, I know her.
That was an oddball. Right?
Oddball fans.
Yeah,
I know her. I know her, because you know, it was a lot of white people, and it was only a few blacks. And I was looking around like, I know her.
That's hilarious. Oh,
that was pinnacle. And like every time I would see you doing just major stuff, I would just be like, she's gonna be somebody to reckon with. She's gonna be a star. And today, as I witness everything you're doing, you are. I would ask you this: being a female in comedy and moving through the ranks and everything, what obstacles do you face that just don't make sense?
I mean, it's the facts is that it's a male dominated field. I mean, as in a lot of things, performance wise, but especially for, stand up is one of those things where it's, by its very nature, it's a very, I guess people could say it's a masculine kind of thing when you think about
Yeah.
like stereotypical, like, oh, well, this person is talking, this person is in front of a bunch of people, this person is commanding a crowd. Like those are things that people are like, oh, those are men do those things. So whenever people see women do it, which is again just very weird to me, but it takes people out of it a little bit where they're like, well, who do you think you are to get
Right.
on stage as a woman and try to tell people you're funny? Because that's always the other stereotype as well, where people are like, women just aren't funny and women are hilarious. Like, I mean, it's
Hilarious.
just that when you think about the way we get socialized as far as humor is concerned, our sense of humors are kind of, culturally is talked about in a very different way, because even when women are being silly as kids, it'll be like, shh, that's not ladylike, or you don't do that. So it's not a natural, it's not a natural thing, even though it is, but it gets stamped out of women pretty early.
Right.
And, so that's the cool thing I would have to say. And I, shout out to my parents for never really, telling me I couldn't be loud and silly. Like, they, anytime I wanted to do something creative, my parents, like, I mean, I took piano lessons, I did, they always had me in stuff. I read a lot, so they knew I was a creative person, but they never was like, oh, you can't. So that was a good thing for me. So, but it does happen where when I'm working places, when people see that there is a woman headliner, it's just a whole bunch of shit. Sometimes you just got to go through, because you walk up in the club and people are, I mean, I've legitimately had people be like, and so now what are you, so, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually headlining. They're like, oh
my name is right there.
Oh my God, like I am so sorry. And I'm like, it's cool, but okay.
Right.
So there's a lot of that. And then, it's the, and then sometimes people feeling like, because, it didn't happen a lot, but I have had people at shows thinking like, oh, well, they'll heckle and they'll be like, oh, I was helping you because it seemed like you needed help. And I'm like, bitch, I'm a 6 foot tall Black woman. I don't need your help with nothing. Like,
I hear that from so many comedians. I get 15 of these interviews, and they all say the people feel like, and it's all female. I had Vanessa Fraction, a couple people, and they were like, as a female, they feel like we need help. Like, when did you think this was my first show?
Right. Like, I've been doing this.
And if you wasn't here, did you think I still needed help? Like, let me ask you, what was your big moment where you were just like, I am Mia Jackson, and this is what I do, and I'm not to be played with? Like, give me a microphone.
I don't even know if I've had that moment, but I mean, I've had moments where I went, oh, okay, I feel pretty good about that. But when you mentioned the Chappelle thing, when I did that felt like a really big thing, because I had been always dabbling in stand-up, but that was around the time that, like, I'm trying to think what year, like basically all within a year of that happening. I think that's when I didn't have a job no more. So like
because I remember we're gonna label it the paradigm shift, but I remember when you were like, I'm keeping this Honda because it do whatever I need to do when I need to do.
The Camry, the Toyota Camry.
Well, you had the truck first. You had a truck.
Oh yeah, the
Saturn.
The Saturn View. That is the. Don't nobody. I'm glad they don't make them cars no more. They just.
You had the Saturn, and you were like,
I was like, I got to get rid of this car, and I got to get. And it's so and it's so funny. I actually just paid off the Toyota, and I'm like, I have had, like, this thing has been with me on the road through the whole full-time career. But when I did that show, I remember I was kind of like, from a personal standpoint, I remember I was like working out all the time, and I'm dropping weight, and I was just like feeling good about myself. And then when I got called to do that show, I remember going like, okay, like I think I'll be able to do this show because like
Wow.
I think I'll be okay in front of his audience. Like I think so, you know. I'm like, I'm not Chappelle, I know that, you know. But I was like,
Yeah.
I think his crowd like might be a crowd I'll do well in front of. And I just remember going there and going like, man, I'm gonna try to just take this confidence I've been building from being around town and taking it more
Yeah.
seriously. And then the show just went really, really well. And I got to come
That
back
is
and do the
so
next night, got to do the 2 nights.